The clink of champagne glasses was still echoing when my son stood, lifted a velvet box, and handed a $30,000 diamond ring to his wife's mother. Still, I smiled, letting the stem of my glass chill my palm as if the cold could keep my pride from boiling. As the applause swallowed the room, I tasted metal in my mouth. Old, familiar betrayal wrapped in celebration. While he kissed her cheek, not once glancing at me, I realized they'd written me out of my own story. The same fingers that signed his mortgage would sign his ending. That's when I decided. This year, my Mother's Day gift would be his eviction. All right, before we dive into this crazy story, do me a favor. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching from. The noise in the Willow Oaks Country Club is a soft hum of clinking glasses and polite chatter. The kind that fills the air on a Sunday brunch when everyone is dressed just a little too perfectly, when every gesture feels rehearsed, even the laughter. I watch Jason from my seat near the edge of the table, his back straight. The confidence he's always had spilling from him like an expensive cologne. I expect him to say something about me, about us. It's Mother's Day after all. A simple, "Thanks for everything, Mom," would suffice. But as he rises, I feel the shift in the air. He clears his throat. His eyes dart briefly to Brianna, and she offers him a smile. One that's as much a warning as it is a show of support. I swallow, shifting my gaze to the other guests. My fingers tighten around the stem of my wineglass, my thumb running absent-mindedly along the base. Maybe I'm being paranoid, but there's a quiet moment, a lull, that feels like I'm about to hear something I won't like. Jason's voice cuts through the murmur of the room. "I'd like to make a toast," he begins. I brace myself, waiting, hoping for a brief moment of recognition. Maybe a nod, a thank you for all the years I've spent raising him alone, all the sacrifices. I glance across the table at Evelyn Hart, Brianna's mother, sitting there like some polished doll, her lips parted in a slight smile as if she already knows what's coming. Jason's fingers hover over the small velvet box in his hand. "To the woman who taught my wife everything," he continues, eyes now focused on Evelyn. "For all her wisdom, grace, and love." He slides the box across the table with an air of careful performance, the soft click of the lid opening drawing everyone's gaze toward it. The glint of the $30,000 ring catches the light. A massive stone, sitting pretty on its gold band, just waiting to be admired. Applause erupts, and I feel it, the hot rush of heat rising in my chest. My heart does a strange stutter, a sickening thud that makes my wine glass tremble in my hand. I can't bring myself to clap. From my peripheral, I see Brianna's lips curve into a smug little smile, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. She's too pleased with herself, too comfortable with the way things are going. I force my hands to stay steady as I take another sip of my wine, but the glass wobbles dangerously in my grip. "Don't make a scene," Brianna mouths, her words coming like a warning shot across the table, her eyes narrowed and cold. Her voice is low, almost gentle, but the sharpness behind it lands hard, like a blade lodged in my throat. A waiter, his starched uniform creasing under his movement, bends slightly at the waist. "Happy Mother's Day, ma'am," he murmurs with practiced politeness. His eyes flicker to the empty space in front of me, to the nothingness I'm holding in place of the ring, the nothingness I'm left with in the wake of the grand spectacle unfolding before me. I nod, forcing a tight smile, but my voice cracks when I reply. "Thank you," I manage, the words sounding hollow, as if they belong to someone else. The crowd's attention has already moved on, everyone cooing over the ring, fawning over Evelyn like she's some kind of saint. But all I can hear is the buzz of humiliation swarming in my ears. I feel the weight of every silent second hanging between us. Jason, Brianna, Evelyn, the guests. all of them basking in this moment, this performance. A part of me, a small, pitiful part, wants to run, to flee from this suffocating air of false elegance. But I'm anchored here, stuck at this table, on this day, surrounded by people who have somehow convinced themselves they have the right to take whatever they want. A ring, a house, my dignity. The wine glass in my hand feels heavy. I set it down carefully, the faint clink of glass against the table ringing too loud in my ears. I'm still staring at that ring, the light hitting it just right, mocking me. I've spent years doing the right thing, keeping things in balance, being the good mother. And for what? To watch him hand over a gift to his mother-in-law, a woman he's known barely 5 years, while I sit there with nothing? I swallow hard. The world around me feels distant, like I'm watching it through glass, like I'm no longer in it but outside of it, observing. The edges of my vision sharpen, the noise softening, my pulse pounding in my ears. I begin taking mental notes. I note how Jason never once looked at me while he delivered his speech, how Brianna's smirk grew the second the applause started. I note how Evelyn's laugh is hollow, how she cradles the ring with exaggerated care, like it's something sacred. No, I won't be the quiet victim anymore. I'll make them understand. They'll all understand. The fury is starting to build now, not as a storm but as something more precise, something surgical. This is no longer about a lost Mother's Day toast. It's about something deeper, something I won't let go. They've made a fatal mistake, and I won't forget it. Not for a second. The engine of Jason's luxury SUV purrs in the background, the soft hum of it a stark contrast to the chaos brewing in my chest. He doesn't look at me as he pulls into the driveway of my modest duplex. Not even a glance. Not a single acknowledgement of the woman who gave him everything. A life, a home, the chance to fail without consequences. I grip the handle of the door, my fingers stiff, but I don't make a move to get out. The air between us is thick with a silence that wasn't there before. The kind of silence you can't talk your way out of. Jason parks the car with an air of indifference, as though it's another task on his to-do list. Another checkbox ticked off in his carefully curated, shallow world. His eyes stay forward, not bothering with a goodbye, a wave, or even the courtesy of saying anything at all. His mind is already somewhere else, with Brianna, with his real family, as he's made it so clear over the years. The door clicks shut behind me before I can even process it, and I stand there, watching him drive away. His SUV fades into the distance, leaving only the low murmur of the street behind. The engine's rumble is gone, but the sharp sting of his betrayal lingers in my chest, a throbbing reminder that nothing I've ever done has been enough. I walk inside, feeling the weight of the empty house press in on me. The quiet is louder than I ever remember it being. I glance around, a little lost, at the piles of unopened bills on the kitchen counter. The refrigerator hums its quiet song of emptiness. It's all here, just as it always has been. The life I built, the years spent working, raising a son, a house full of memories. And yet, it feels as if none of it matters. I pick up a photograph from the counter. It's a picture of James, my late husband. He's smiling in it, younger, standing by my side with the same pride that I used to carry in my heart before life made me hard, before the years of sacrifice, and watching everything I worked for slip through my fingers. I trace my finger over the frame, over his face, but the warmth I once felt for this place has long since left me. You'd have told me to make them pay, I whisper to the photograph, my voice barely above a breath. I feel the tears come then, but they're not the kind that demand pity or sympathy. These are quiet tears, the kind that don't belong to sadness. They belong to something else, something darker. I set the photo back on the counter and my hands move, almost without thinking. I go to the locked drawer in the back of the kitchen, the one I haven't touched in years. The key is still where it always is, hidden under a small ceramic frog on the counter. It clicks open without protest. Inside is the property deed, the one with my name still on it. The house, the one Jason's been living in rent-free for the past year. I hold it in my hands for a moment, my breath shallow, my heart still pounding from the toast, from the ring, from the humiliation. The years of quiet patience, of doing the right thing, have led me here, to this moment where I'm done. Done with his entitled, selfish behavior. Done with pretending that he isn't taking everything I've worked for and handing it off to someone else like it's a prize. I don't need to hold on to this anymore. The phone rings, slicing through the silence. I don't even check the caller ID. I know who it is. Noah. Hello, I say, the word falling flat. You okay? His voice is steady, but I can feel the concern lurking beneath it. He's been watching this play out from the sidelines for years. Noah, I say, and the words come out with a finality I haven't allowed myself until now. I think I'm done being nice. There's a beat of silence on the other end of the line. I can almost hear him weighing my words, choosing his next step carefully. He knows me too well. Are you sure? He asks softly. Yes. My voice doesn't waver. I've spent too many years letting him use me, letting him take and take and take. I pull the deed from the drawer and hold it in my hands, the weight of it both a burden and a weapon. It's time I start taking something back. A storm has started outside. I can hear the first heavy drops of rain tapping against the windows, the sound growing louder with each passing second. It's as though the world itself is washing away the years of compromise I've put into this life, cleaning the slate, giving me room to finally do what I should have done a long time ago. I'm filing for eviction, I add, my voice barely above a whisper. Noah doesn't respond immediately. I know he's processing it. He doesn't think I'm cruel. He knows I've just been too patient, too kind for too long. Then let's make sure we do it right, he says after a long pause. I exhale, letting the calm settle over me for a brief moment. It's not peace. It's something else. Something colder. Something I can live with. The rain pounds harder now, and for the first time in what feels like forever, I let myself feel something other than the steady burn of resentment. Something like resolve. As I hang up, I look out the window at the storm, and I smile to myself, a smile that feels both new and inevitable. There's no turning back now. Not anymore. Noah's office smells like leather and coffee, a subtle mix of warmth and professional detachment. The kind of space that makes you think twice before being too emotional, too reactive. I've always liked it here, despite the sterile walls and the legal jargon that hangs heavy in the air. The soft hum of the fluorescent lights above, the quiet scrape of chairs as people come and go. It feels like a place where decisions are made, where things are handled with precision. I slide the thick stack of papers across Noah's polished desk, my fingers lingering on the top sheet for a second longer than necessary. These aren't just any papers. These are the records I've been gathering for months. The mortgage statements, the utility bills, the insurance policies. Each one carefully separated, meticulously compiled. A ledger of betrayal, each document proving that Jason and Brianna have been living off my generosity and my money for far too long. Noah picks up the stack, flipping through the first few pages. His brow furrows as he scans them, the lines of his face tightening with each new sheet. The silence stretches between us as he reads, his eyes scanning each figure, each bill, as if they hold more weight than just numbers. And they do. He sets the papers down slowly, his fingers tapping the edge of the desk. You're right. They owe you thousands. I exhale. The breath I didn't realize I'd been holding, and lean back in the chair. Thousands is an understatement, I say, though the words feel hollow in my mouth. I don't want their money anymore. I don't need it. What I need is justice. What I need is to show them that they can't keep taking without giving anything back. Noah's eyes meet mine, and I can see the familiar warning in his gaze. He's always been the cautious one, the one who thinks before acting, weighing every decision. But this is different. This isn't about being careful anymore. This is about making them pay for the way they've treated me, for how they've turned my kindness into a weapon. Maggie, he begins, his voice low, measured. I'm not saying we don't have a case. We do. But you need to be careful. This is going to get ugly. The words sting, but I don't flinch. Let it get ugly, I say, my voice firm, steady. I've had enough of playing nice. They've already made it ugly. I'm just going to finish it. Noah takes a moment watching me, as if assessing whether or not I'm really sure about this. He's seen me put up with Jason's nonsense for years, seen me swallow my anger and my disappointment. I know he's trying to figure out if this is some knee-jerk reaction to the toast, to the ring, to the humiliation. But it's not. It's something deeper. Something that's been building for far longer than any of them realize. He reaches for his laptop, tapping the keys as he starts pulling up documents, legal language, options for action. We'll need to send a formal demand for payment first, he says, his tone shifting into business mode. That's usually the first step. Then, if they don't respond, they won't respond, I interrupt, my words cutting across his. They're entitled, Noah. They think they can just keep taking. Noah pauses, eyes locking onto mine. There's a flicker of something there. Maybe concern, maybe respect. But whatever it is, it disappears almost instantly. Then we go straight to legal action. Eviction. Breach of contract. Maybe even a civil suit. But we need to be smart about it. He turns the laptop towards me, showing me a series of draft documents. Here's a basic notice of demand. I can fine-tune it, make sure it's airtight, but I think we should give them one last chance to pay what they owe. I look at the screen, my mind already moving ahead, bypassing the legalese, bypassing the formalities. One last chance? I repeat, my voice cold. I don't need their money. I need them to understand the consequences of what they've done. I need them to feel the weight of their actions. I'm not in the mood for one last chance, I say, leaning forward, my eyes never leaving his. I've spent years giving them chances. Too many chances. This is different now. Noah sighs, and I can see the battle in his eyes. The lawyer in him fighting with the friend. Maggie, I get it, he says softly, his voice gentler now. I'm not saying you're wrong, but we need to be strategic. This isn't just about emotion, it's about getting results. I nod, but I'm not listening. Not really. He's right, of course, but I can't keep waiting for results. Not when I've already waited for years. Letting them think I'm weak. Letting them think I'll just turn the other cheek. I'm not emotional anymore, Noah, I say. The words slipping out before I can stop them. Mother's Day gave me the motive. The law gives me the method. Noah's eyes widen slightly, his fingers pausing over the keyboard as he watches me. There's a long pause. An entire universe of unspoken words hangs between us. And then, as if in agreement, he nods. All right, let's do it your way. My heart beats faster. There's no turning back now. As Noah starts drafting the legal documents, I lean back in my chair, a small smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. They won't know what hit them. It doesn't take long for Brianna's video to surface online, the perfect snapshot of the life she's crafted. Polished, pretty, and utterly shallow. I can already feel the sting before I even see it. The moment I open my phone, the first thing I notice is the push notification. Spoil your real queen this Mother's Day. It's from Brianna's Instagram, and there, front and center, is Jason, holding the 30K ring aloft, the gleam of it catching the light just like it did at the brunch. Brianna, perched beside him, her face glowing with a satisfaction that's almost too perfect. I swipe through the post, my stomach twisting with every second I spend looking at it. The video loops, the glint of the ring, the applause, the forced smiles, a seamless performance. The comments start rolling in. Queen material, one person writes, followed by, must be nice to be treated like royalty. More comments follow, praising the beautiful family, the perfect gesture, and how everyone wishes they had a man like Jason, a man who can buy his way out of being decent. The comments don't stop. As I scroll down, one catches my eye. Jealous old mom. Can't even be happy for her son's success. It's enough to make my chest tighten, but I don't let it show. I screenshot the comment, and then another, and then another. Each one a bite of poison, each one a reminder of the person they think I am. I drop my phone onto the kitchen counter, my mind working, methodical now, calculating. Let them think I'm jealous. Let them think I'm weak. I open the drawer where I keep the rest of my documents. Utility bills, mortgage statements, all the evidence I've gathered over the years. Brianna and Jason think they can humiliate me in public, but I know something they don't. I know how to make them pay, how to make them feel every inch of the weight they've cast upon me. The buzz of my phone vibrates against the countertop. It's Tanya, my neighbor. She's seen it too. You okay? The text reads. I let the message sit for a moment before I reply. My fingers hover over the screen, the words forming with the same cool precision that's been building in me since the toast. I can feel the fire of my anger simmering just beneath the surface, but I tamp it down. There's no need to unleash it yet. Not when there's so much more to be done. Better than they think. I hit send. A few seconds later, Tanya responds with a string of exclamation points. I don't bother reading them. I've never been one for empty sympathy. I've lived my life quietly, keeping my emotions in check. But now, I'm not pretending anymore. This is my time. I start sorting through the papers again, my fingers skimming over each one. There's the bank statement where Jason's name is listed as a co-borrower on the mortgage he's been living in. He hasn't paid a cent towards it, but he's had no problem enjoying the benefits of my hard work. There are the utility bills, also in my name, and the receipts for the insurance I've been keeping up for the house he's claimed as his own. They've been leeching off me for months, maybe longer. I can see it now, the way they've twisted everything. Their every move a calculated ploy to get what they want. A ring, a house, my money. I open the file on my computer, pulling up the folder labeled Jason and Brianna. A collection of screenshots, bank transfers, documents. Everything is in order. My mind feels sharp, focused. Every piece fits into place, one after the other. The doorbell rings, and I flinch, but I don't get up right away. It's probably another neighbor, or someone selling something. I glance at the screen again, more comments flooding in, all of them digging in, calling me pathetic, washed up. There's something satisfying about the way they all assume the worst about me. I step to the door and open it. Tanya is standing there, her expression kind but concerned, the same one she's had every time we've shared coffee or talked over the fence. She holds a cup of tea in her hands, her eyes searching mine. You okay? She asks again, her voice quieter now. Better than they think, I repeat. And this time, I don't need to look away. Tanya nods, understanding more than I expect her to. She knows me well enough to see the fire burning beneath the calm. She knows I've been holding back for too long, letting Jason and Brianna walk all over me. She hands me the tea without saying another word. I close the door behind her and return to my computer. The rain is still coming down in sheets outside, the kind of rain that makes everything feel like it's being washed away. But I know better than to think it will cleanse anything. The storm's just beginning. I smile as I hit save on the file. It's time to let them know who they're really dealing with. The storm won't just pass over them. This time, it'll tear through everything they've built. The air in Noah's office feels heavier today. It's not just the humid weather outside. The storm's been brewing for days. Inside, the silence is thick with expectation. I watch as Noah scans the audit report, his eyes flicking across the screen, his face unreadable. He taps a few keys, bringing up more documents, his expression tightening with every click. The tension between us has shifted, a sense of impending revelation hanging in the air. I lean forward, pressing my hands against the cool surface of the desk. The weight of what's coming feels almost tangible, but I'm ready. I've been waiting for something like this, something that will tip the scales and give me the ammunition I need. Noah clicks on a file, his finger hovering over the screen. Maggie. His voice is careful, but the tension is unmistakable. It looks like Jason didn't just live in your house rent-free. My pulse quickens. I already know where this is going, but I need to hear it. Go on, I say, my voice steady but tight. He slides the screen towards me. This is a mortgage refinance document. Your name's here, but not as a cosigner. As the primary borrower. I stare at the document, my eyes scanning the numbers, the legal jargon that makes everything sound so official. But all I can see is my name, forged, stamped onto a loan I never authorized. A business loan, no less. I blink, trying to process it, but it doesn't make sense. He used my house? For a loan? I choke out the words, each syllable tasting like ash. The place I've worked my whole life to maintain, my home, has been leveraged against me. Jason didn't just take from me. He took it all. Noah nods slowly, a grim look settling over his face. It gets worse, he says, pulling up another document. This one is a loan agreement. A failed business venture, one Jason had kept hidden from me. The signatures are there, but not just his. There's my forged signature right at the bottom. A clean cut. A signature that was never mine. Felony fraud, Noah mutters under his breath, leaning back in his chair. He looks at me, his gaze sharp, his voice dropping. This is serious, Maggie. If you want to go forward, you can have him arrested. My stomach lurches. It's like the world stops for a second, the weight of the betrayal crushing me. I feel numb, distant, as if I'm watching this unfold through someone else's eyes. The anger rises in my chest, slow at first, like a simmering boil beneath my skin. But then, as the reality sinks in, the fury erupts. I push away from the desk, standing up so quickly that the chair nearly topples over. They used my roof to buy that ring, I say through gritted teeth, the words coming out in a rush. The humiliation floods me in waves, but this time it's not just humiliation. It's something colder, something darker. It's a sickening cocktail of rage and betrayal that's suddenly sharp and clear. I can hear the pounding rain outside now, louder, angrier. It's as though the storm outside is somehow connected to the one brewing inside me, the chaos of the world pouring in through every window, flooding every crack. I turn toward Noah, my fists clenched at my sides. I want them out of my house, I say, my voice low and steady now. I want them gone, and I want Jason to know exactly what he did. Let him see the full weight of what he's done. Noah's eyes are cautious as they meet mine. You understand this means criminal charges, right? This isn't just about an eviction. This is about fraud. You'll be going up against him in a way you've never imagined. I don't hesitate. My decision is clear. I'm not afraid of him, I say, the coldness in my voice a stark contrast to the fire burning behind my eyes. I'll serve him papers he'll never forget. Noah's silence stretches between us, the weight of my words hanging heavy in the air. He knows what I'm capable of. He knows the calm I've been hiding for so long. And now, he can see the storm that's finally breaking through. I'll get started on the paperwork, Noah says finally, his voice resigned but not without a note of respect. He pulls out his laptop again, beginning to type. But once we do this, there's no turning back. You'll be making it public. You'll be putting everything out there. I nod, my eyes focused on the papers in front of me. I'm ready for it. I've been patient for too long. The room is filled with the sound of Noah's fingers on the keyboard, but my mind is elsewhere. Racing with the knowledge that things are about to get a lot more complicated. There's no going back now. Jason's house of cards is about to crumble, and I'm going to be the one to bring it down. As I turn to leave, the rain slams against the windows harder, like a drumbeat, signaling the start of something inevitable. The storm's just begun, and I'm ready to unleash it. The table is set for 3. The soft glow of the chandelier above casts long shadows across the room, illuminating the crisp white tablecloth, the fine china, the polished silverware. The candles flicker in perfect symmetry, their flames dancing like the calm before a storm. I've never hosted a dinner like this before. Not for Jason and Brianna, but tonight, everything will change. I stand in the kitchen, the smell of freshly roasted chicken filling the air. A final touch on a meal I've carefully prepared. My hands move with practiced precision, the knife slicing through the vegetables in neat, deliberate cuts. The wine is already decanted, the glasses polished to perfection. I've done everything just right. I've waited for this moment, waited for them to think I'm just a passive participant in their game. But this time, it's different. The doorbell rings at precisely 7:15 p.m. I feel my pulse quicken as I walk toward the door. I'm ready now, ready for this confrontation. When I open it, Brianna stands on the doorstep, a vision of diamonds and fur, dripping in wealth. Her smile is wide, her posture perfect, as though she's the queen of the world. Her eyes flick to me, sizing me up for a split second, and I catch the subtle shift in her gaze, a flash of calculation. But it's quickly masked by that trademark smile. "Maggie," she exclaims, her voice high and light. "You look lovely. I hope we're not too late." "You're right on time," I reply, stepping aside to let her in. The air feels thick between us, but she doesn't seem to notice. Brianna has always been so sure of herself, so entitled. Jason is right behind her, moving with a relaxed confidence, his hands in his pockets, that same arrogant air surrounding him like an aura. When he sees me, the corners of his mouth curl up, but there's something in his eyes that catches me off guard. A flicker of uncertainty? I almost laugh at the thought. Uncertainty doesn't belong to people like him. "Well, well, well," Jason says, his tone light as he gestures toward the table. "You didn't have to go all out, Mom. It's just dinner." I offer him a tight smile, standing back as he takes his seat at the head of the table. Brianna follows, slipping into the chair beside him with practiced grace. The whole act, the way they move, the way they speak, is so rehearsed, it's almost laughable. But they don't know that I'm no longer playing by their rules. I sit across from them, my hands resting on the edge of the table. My fingers brush against the folder I've placed there, the one with the legal documents inside. It's not just a dinner. This is a conversation that's been years in the making. "So," Jason says, cutting into the silence, his voice casual, almost too casual. "You're not still upset about Mother's Day, are you? I mean, come on. It was just a gesture." I meet his gaze, and for a moment, I feel a flicker of something cold deep in my chest. The same smug look he's had for years. The same arrogance that has always made me feel small. I take a deep breath, forcing the anger down, and let the calm wash over me like a tidal wave. I say, my voice smooth and even, though every word feels like it's coated in steel. Until I realize that gifts reveal character. Brianna raises an eyebrow, the corners of her mouth curling into that too perfect smile. She's playing her part, but I can see the tension in her eyes, the way she's studying me, trying to figure out what I'm really after. I can almost hear her thoughts. What's she planning? Jason chuckles, leaning back in his chair. You're not mad about the ring, are you? It's just a little gift. It's nothing personal. I slide the folder across the table, the sound of it scraping against the wood sharp in the stillness. It's a small movement, but it carries weight. The paper is thick, the edges sharp. A legal document. The notice of eviction. The look on his face as he sees it is almost worth the entire evening. His smile falters for a split second before he catches himself, but it's enough. Brianna's gaze flicks to him, then back to me, her eyes narrowing as she picks up the folder. "What's this?" she asks, her voice a little too sweet. But I can hear the undercurrent of tension in it. 30 days to vacate, I reply, my voice colder now, every word calculated, every breath a measure of control. Jason's laugh is short, forced. Evict your own son? Seriously? I don't flinch. I don't move. I stay exactly where I am, watching him. You evicted respect first, I say, the words cutting through the air like a knife. Brianna laughs, a high fake sound, but there's a crack in it. This is ridiculous. Maggie, you can't just kick us out. Oh, I can, I say quietly. And I will. The tension between us thickens, the weight of the words settling in the room like a fog. Jason shifts uncomfortably in his seat, but he quickly masks it with a scoff. This is insane. You're really going to do this? I lean forward, looking him dead in the eye. You made a choice when you humiliated me in front of everyone. You made a choice when you took what was mine without a second thought. Now, I'm making mine. The air is heavy with unsaid things, the storm outside a distant echo of the one raging inside. And as they sit there, stunned and reeling from the sharp reality of my words, I realize something. This is just the beginning. They think they have the upper hand. They think they can keep playing this game. But they have no idea what I'm capable of. Not anymore. The tension in the room hasn't dissipated. If anything, it's grown thicker. Jason's jaw is clenched, his knuckles white as he grips the edge of the table. Brianna, still holding the eviction notice, glances at him, then back at me, her smile faltering. I can almost see the gears turning in her head. What next? And then she does it. With one swift motion, she pulls out her phone and starts recording. The bright screen illuminates her face, the camera angled in just the right way to catch the shock in Jason's eyes, the faint trembling of the paper in his hands, the stillness of mine. I think it's time for the world to know what's really going on, Brianna says, her voice now tinged with something more calculated, almost triumphant. I've never been someone who seeks attention, but right now, I'm not going to let her control this narrative. Not anymore. Brianna's fingers hover over the screen as she starts narrating, her tone syrupy sweet. When a mother doesn't know how to love, she resorts to control. She smirks as she finishes the line, her eyes never leaving me, daring me to react. I stay silent. I could scream. I could lash out. But I don't. Instead, I sit perfectly still, watching the way she manipulates the moment. It's almost poetic. And it's working. The video begins to gain traction. She posts it, and within seconds, the comments start flooding in. A mother who doesn't support her son? Unbelievable. someone writes. Others follow. This is why you never let your parents control your life. Poor Jason can't even enjoy his success without being dragged down by her. The screen flashes, and Brianna, smug and unbothered, watches as the likes roll in. She's convinced she's winning. But what she doesn't see is what's happening beneath the surface. I pick up my phone, my hands steady, and I start scrolling through the comments. For every comment that speaks in her favor, there are dozens more coming to my defense. She built that house. She decides who stays. Tanya's comment flashes on the screen, the simplicity of it cutting through the noise like a razor. She raised him. She has every right. I feel a flicker of warmth, a small but significant victory. The tide is shifting. The storm that Brianna's stirred up isn't working in her favor the way she thought it would. Jason slams his fist down on the table, the force making the silverware rattle. You ruined my reputation. His voice cracks as he stands up, pushing back from the table. The anger in his eyes burns with something that feels both desperate and entitled. He can't understand why it's not going his way. He can't comprehend that I'm no longer just his mother. I'm a woman who's done playing nice. I don't move. I don't flinch. No, I reply softly, my voice cool, unbothered. I just introduced you honestly. Jason's face reddens, his mouth working as he tries to find something, anything, to say that will make this right. But the truth is already out there. He can't unring the bell, and Brianna, now more quiet than before, looks like she's calculating her next move, unsure whether to continue this charade or accept that the damage is done. I glance at my phone again. The comment section still active. The support is overwhelming. People who've never met me are speaking up, defending me. Some even sharing their own stories of familial betrayal. I can feel it now. The shift in the air. The world is watching. You think this is a joke? Jason says, his voice rising, desperation dripping from his words. He's pacing now, muttering under his breath. You think this is all just some game? I rise slowly, watching him. Every movement deliberate, measured. I think you made a mistake, I say, my voice calm but laced with finality. And now, it's time to pay for it. The door to the kitchen swings open and Noah steps in, his face as composed as ever. He holds a folder in his hands, and the expression on his face says everything I need to know. The paperwork is ready. The case is moving forward. I feel my breath catch for a moment, a sense of finality settling over me like a blanket. The storm outside is louder now, the thunder rolling in the distance, mirroring the turmoil inside this house, inside of me. Jason's mouth hangs open, his eyes flickering from me to Noah, then back to Brianna, whose smug smile is finally beginning to crack under the weight of the reality we're facing. The power has shifted, and they know it. Noah places the folder on the counter, the sound of it landing sharp, like the crack of thunder. The court filing is ready, he says, his voice even, professional. We're moving forward. I look at Jason, then Brianna, and feel a quiet satisfaction settle over me. The storm outside is nothing compared to what's coming for them. And this time, there's no escaping it. The knock on the door is sharp, deliberate. I open it, standing just inside the threshold, and Jason's face, flushed with disbelief and anger, fills the frame. His fists are clenched, his mouth set in a tight line. For a moment, I think he might say something, but he only glares at me, as though I've personally wronged him. Behind him, the sheriff's deputy stands, a paper in hand. Jason's eyes flick to it, then back at me, his expression twisting with confusion. You've got to be kidding me. He spits, taking the paper roughly from the deputy's hand. His face darkens as he scans it. I step back to let him read. The eviction papers are clear, neatly typed, official. His name is written in bold letters, as though to hammer in the reality of the situation. "I'm being evicted?" He sneers, the words heavy with disbelief. "You can't just do this." "Family doesn't steal," I say calmly from behind him, my voice cold but unwavering. "You used my home as a collateral, Jason. You made your choices." He turns to face me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water, before he explodes. "This is insane. You can't do this to your own son." His voice cracks, and he takes a step toward me, his body rigid with frustration. The neighbors start to gather, eyes peeking over fences, some standing on porches, their curiosity piqued by the scene unfolding before them. A few of them know the story, how I raised Jason alone, how I'd given him a free ride to live in my house without ever asking for anything in return. But now, the truth is public, and Jason can't hide behind the mask of the charming son anymore. "Shut up, Mom!" Jason shouts, his hands trembling as he waves the eviction papers in the air. "This is your fault. This whole damn mess." His face is contorted with rage and confusion, the weight of reality settling over him in a way he's never had to experience before. I stand there, watching him, watching the downfall of a son I thought I knew. The betrayal stings less now. Instead, it's just the cold clarity of what needs to be done. The neighbors continue to watch, their whispers floating in the air. Then, as if sensing the crowd, Brianna steps forward, her eyes sharp and calculating. "Maggie," she says in a voice laced with mock sweetness, her tone deliberate and slow. "Family shouldn't do this. You've raised Jason, your son. He's family. Don't you want to help him? Just this once?" Her words drip with a false compassion, an attempt to manipulate the situation, to make me feel guilty for doing what's right. But I know better now. She's just trying to preserve her image, just like Jason. To maintain the illusion that they're the victims in this twisted game. I lift my chin slightly, meeting her gaze with steady resolve. "I've spent my life helping him. But family doesn't steal, Brianna." The words come out, colder than I expected, cutting through the air like a blade. "And you're not the victim here. Neither of you are." Jason, still seething, crumples the eviction notice into a ball and throws it at me. "You're going to regret this. You've ruined everything," he yells, turning to Brianna for support, but she just stands there, her face twisted in a mask of uncertainty. "I'm not ruining anything," I reply, my voice steady. I take a step forward, forcing him to look me in the eye. "But you're going to have to face the consequences of what you've done." Jason stares at me, his breath coming in quick gasps, a mixture of rage and desperation on his face. For a split second, I feel a flicker of something inside me. Guilt? Compassion? But then it vanishes. The moment is fleeting, easily crushed beneath the weight of everything he's taken from me. I push it aside, my voice low but firm. "There's no mercy for thieves." Brianna's eyes flicker for just a moment. I see the crack in her facade, the briefest shift in her expression as she registers what I've said. But she quickly recovers, stepping back toward Jason, putting a hand on his arm in a gesture of comfort. Or is it control? Her fingers curl around his sleeve, her grip tight. She whispers something to him, too quiet for me to hear, but the words seem to calm him for a moment. He looks away, muttering something under his breath as he shoves the crumpled eviction notice into his pocket. The sheriff's deputy remains silent, standing off to the side. I see him glance at the crowd, his face unreadable, before he speaks again. "This is official, sir. You need to vacate within 30 days. Jason's hands are shaking now. He looks like a man who's lost everything, and in a way, he has. The weight of his actions is pressing down on him, suffocating him. As he turns, muttering angrily and heads for the door, Brianna follows close behind. Her posture is stiff, her eyes flicking back to me one last time. For a moment, I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. But then, as I hear the slam of the door behind them, I'm left alone with the reality of what's coming. The storm outside is growing fiercer, the thunder now a constant drumbeat in the distance. It feels like the world is about to collapse, but it's not just the weather that's changing. This is the calm before the real storm, the one that will bring them both to their knees. And I will be the one to make sure they never forget the price of what they've taken. The phone call comes just as I'm about to pour myself a glass of wine, my fingers still trembling slightly from the stress of the past few days. It's been a week since the eviction, and I've had no contact with Jason or Brianna, just the occasional message from the neighbors, checking in on me. I've been trying to breathe through it, to keep my head clear for what comes next, but this phone call, it's like the ground shifting beneath me. Noah, I say, my voice steady, though I can feel something unsettling creeping up from my gut. What is it? Maggie, he starts, his voice grim, the weight of something he hasn't told me yet hanging in the air. Jason's lawyer just filed a motion with the court. My stomach lurches. What kind of motion? I ask, already dreading the answer. They're claiming you're mentally unfit to make your own decisions. They're asking for guardianship. A laugh bubbles up from my chest, though it feels hollow, like it doesn't belong to me. They're claiming I have dementia? I repeat, the words barely making it past my lips. No, it's worse than that. They want full control over your finances, your property, everything. They're arguing that you're incapable of managing your own affairs. The shock hits like a punch to the stomach. This is the last thing I expected. It feels like a betrayal of the lowest kind. Jason, my own son, is trying to seize everything I've worked for. Legally, this time. How dare he? My hands tighten around the phone, the cold press of reality sinking into my skin. I can't believe this, I murmur. I've done nothing but try to help him. And now this. Noah's voice is tight with fury. It's a low blow, Maggie. They're trying to paint you as unstable to get control of your assets. But we're not going to let that happen. I won't let it happen, I say firmly, the words slow and deliberate. The calm is returning to me now, like an old friend I've known for years. What do we need to do? We need to respond immediately. The court's already set an expedited hearing. I let out a breath. Expedited hearing. Of course. They think they can turn this around in their favor, do a little quick damage control, and leave me powerless. But Jason and Brianna have no idea what they've just done. I'm already standing, pacing across the kitchen. I open the drawer, my mind already a few steps ahead. I'm not going to let them take everything from me. I'll prove them wrong. Noah is silent for a moment, then speaks in a low voice. You're sure you're ready for this? Once we do this, there's no going back. You'll be exposing everything. The fraud, the manipulation, the lies. I stop pacing, my hand resting on the edge of the counter. The weight of it presses against my palm, grounding me. Let them try, I say softly. Let them try to take control. Truth has teeth. I pause, the quiet fury inside me almost palpable now. I walk to my desk, open the drawer, and pull out a flash drive. It's the one I've been holding on to for weeks, the one with the recordings I made of Jason. The recordings where he boasted about using my money, about manipulating me for years, about how easy it was to get away with it. I plug the flash drive into the computer and pull up the files, the words Jason spoke to me ringing in my ears as I click through the recordings. There they are. All the lies, the arrogance, the entitlement. He thinks he's going to take everything from me? I can already see the court scene unfolding, the lawyer's objections, Jason's nervous glances toward the judge. But this time, it won't be him in control. This time, it will be me. Send me the paperwork, I tell Noah, my voice steady, unwavering. We're not just defending, we're going on the offensive. I let the words settle for a moment, the finality of it all sinking in. Jason may have thought he could turn the tables, manipulate the situation, but he's underestimated me. The truth is on my side, and once it's out there, once those recordings are played in court, there will be no turning back. The storm outside is growing more intense, the rain slamming against the windows with a furious rhythm. The sound of thunder crackles in the distance, like the world itself is responding to the chaos brewing. I look at the flash drive one last time, knowing this is my final move. I'm done being quiet. I'll make sure the truth is heard, I murmur, my hand steady as I prepare the files for Noah. And I'll make sure they regret ever thinking they could take what's mine. The phone goes silent as Noah processes what I've said, but I can hear the shift in his voice when he speaks again. I'll get it ready. We'll expose them all. And just like that, the pieces are falling into place. This isn't just about winning. It's about making them pay for what they've done. As I hang up, I stand in front of the window, watching the storm rage outside. The rain pours down in torrents, the wind howling through the trees. The world is changing, and I'm the one in control now. The storm outside is nothing compared to what's coming for them. The courtroom is packed, full of lawyers, journalists, and spectators. The buzz in the air is palpable, a tangible hum of expectation. This is no ordinary case. It's a spectacle now, and everyone's watching. Jason and Brianna sit in the front row, their expressions a mix of arrogance and anxiety, side by side like two actors in a play. Brianna's face is painted with a mask of perfect composure, but there's a flicker in her eyes that betrays her. She knows they're losing control. Jason's leaning back in his seat, his arms crossed, his jaw set in that all-too-familiar smirk. It's the same smirk I've seen for years, the one that said he could get away with anything. But today, it's different. Today, that smirk is just a shield, hiding the panic bubbling underneath. He doesn't know it yet, but he's about to be exposed in ways he never imagined. The judge enters, the gavel strikes, and the room falls into a hushed silence. I stand with my lawyer, Noah, beside me, our motions ready. The air feels thick with a tension I can't shake. But I've prepared for this. My nerves are steel now. They can try to tear me down, but they don't know what I've got hidden in the folds of my calm. I'm dressed in pale gray today, soft yet unyielding, like smoke before fire. I take a breath as I walk to the stand, the eyes of the courtroom on me. The light catches my hair, and for a brief moment, I feel every gaze. But then the sensation disappears. I've already stepped into my power, and nothing is going to shake me. Jason watches me, his gaze cold, but there's something different in the way he looks at me now. It's not the confidence of a son who thinks he's got it all figured out. It's the uncertainty of a man who has no idea how far he's already fallen. Brianna glances nervously at him, her fingers twisted in her lap, but she says nothing. She's learned to be the silent supporter, the puppet master behind the scenes. Noah rises and approaches the bench, a flash drive in hand. The judge nods for him to proceed. He places the drive into the courtroom system and the room goes quiet as the first audio file begins to play. Jason's voice fills the courtroom. It's unmistakable, confident, arrogant. I mean, it's easy, right? Jason's voice booms from the speakers, raw with entitlement. Mom's always been so trusting. She'll never question me. We've got the house. We've got the money. All I had to do was make her think it was for us. Gasps ripple through the room. A few heads turn, the murmurs spreading like wildfire. The judge's brow furrows as the words hit home. I feel my pulse steady. This is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for. This is where everything changes. Jason's face pales. His hand shoots up. But it's too late. The recordings keep coming, each one more damning than the last. In them, he boasts about using my money, about forging my name on documents, about manipulating me for his own gain. He even laughs in one of the recordings, a cold, calculating sound that chills me to the bone. "I'm not worried about her," Jason says in one clip. "I know how to make her give us what we want. She'll just keep giving, and I'll keep taking." The courtroom is stunned. The judge's gaze shifts from Jason, whose smirk has disappeared, to Brianna, whose face is flushed with embarrassment. Jason's composure is faltering now, his hand gripping the armrest of the chair as if holding on to some shred of dignity he's about to lose. The judge turns to Jason, his eyes narrowed. "Mr. Dalton," he says coldly, "you're claiming your mother is unfit to make her own decisions, yet it seems you have no problem making those decisions for her." Jason stammers, the words slipping out in a desperate attempt to save face. That's not what I meant. This is all a joke. You're taking it out of context." His words fall flat. The judge leans forward, his gaze hard. "This is not a joke, Mr. Dalton. Stealing from your own mother? Forging her signature? This is criminal." He looks over at me, his expression softening just slightly. "Maggie Dalton has been the victim here." I glance at Jason, who's now visibly sweating, his face flushed with a mixture of panic and rage. The mask is gone, and all that's left is a man who knows he's lost. Steeling myself, I look directly at Jason and speak the words I've been holding back for so long. "Stealing isn't humor," I say, my voice low and calm, but every word sharp with finality. "You took from me, you used me, and now you're trying to take everything, just like it was a game." Jason's mouth opens, but no words come out. His eyes dart to Brianna, who's now biting her lip, her face pale. She's seen the tide turn, and she knows it's only a matter of time before everything they've done is exposed. The judge looks back at the papers, his expression stern. He doesn't need to say it. His decision is already made. "Maggie Dalton," he says, looking at me now with a mixture of respect and regret, "I'm denying the guardianship request. Your son's motion is dismissed. Furthermore, the eviction stands." He bangs the gavel. "The court will not tolerate such manipulation." Jason slumps in his chair, the weight of the loss sinking in. He's been humiliated. His world is crumbling piece by piece. Brianna's eyes flick to him, and I catch the subtle change in her expression. For the first time, I see the cracks in her armor. The courtroom fills with a murmur of surprise, the ripple of disbelief spreading like wildfire. People are whispering, some shaking their heads. But I don't look away from Jason. I hold his gaze until he finally lowers his eyes in defeat. The judge rises, the session adjourned. But for me, the battle is only just beginning. The movers arrive early, a convoy of rented trucks lining the street, engines idling in the still morning air. Their presence feels like a final punctuation on this long, painful chapter. The paperwork is in order, the sheriff's deputy at the ready. The scene is set for Jason and Brianna's inevitable downfall. And I'm the one holding the pen. I stand at the front door, watching as the crew gets to work. The furniture, the boxes, the things they've accumulated over the years, everything they've taken for granted is now being hauled out of my home, piece by piece. It's almost too much to watch, yet I can't tear my eyes away. This is justice, but it's not satisfying in the way I thought it would be. The weight of it all presses down on me, the silence between us louder than any words ever could be. Brianna steps out onto the porch, her heels clicking sharply against the wood, as though trying to maintain some semblance of dignity in the face of it all. She's holding her phone, her fingers tapping furiously as she types a message, or perhaps tries to spin the narrative in her favor. She's still trying to maintain control, but the reality is settling in. I see her glance over at the sheriff, the movers, and then her eyes snap to mine. The moment she locks eyes with me, the facade cracks. She's barely holding it together now, but her next move is one she's perfected. With a screech that could cut through glass, she screams, "This is ridiculous! You can't do this!" She grabs a pair of designer shoes from a nearby pile and throws them into the yard, her rage finally bubbling to the surface. It's a sharp, dramatic gesture, a final attempt to maintain some kind of control. But it's too late. The damage is done. She's already been exposed, and now the world is watching. I remain calm. My face betrays nothing. I've been through too much to react to her tantrum. Instead, I watch the shoes fly through the air, landing haphazardly in the grass, as if that single, foolish act could somehow reverse the inevitable. Jason emerges from the house then, his face pale, his shoulders slumped. There's no bravado left in him, just the hollow shell of the man who thought he could outsmart me, outsmart the world. He approaches me, his hands shaking, and for a moment I almost feel sorry for him. Almost. "Please," he says quietly, his voice breaking. "I'll pay you back. I'll fix this. Just give me some more time." I stare at him for a moment, feeling the years of frustration, the betrayal, the shame, the anger, all of it settle in my bones. He was never going to change. He's always been this way. Taking, never giving, using people for his own gain. I meet his eyes, and there's no hesitation in my voice when I respond. "You can start by leaving." My words are final, simple, and measured. "Pack your things. And never come back." He opens his mouth to protest, but he knows it's futile. His face crumbles, and for the first time I see the true weight of what's happening hit him. This isn't just about a house or money. It's about his entire identity falling apart in real time. He's lost everything. And it's not because I took it from him. It's because he chose to destroy everything I ever gave him. I turn away from him, watching as the movers continue their work, efficiently removing everything from the house. The crowd of neighbors has gathered now, watching from their porches and behind windows. It's a spectacle, and they all know it. They know the truth. They know what Jason did. Tanya, my ever-watchful neighbor, steps into the yard, holding her phone at arm's length. She films discreetly, capturing every moment, every detail. It's as if she's documenting the fall of an empire, one long overdue. The video will trend later. Everyone will watch it, and the audience will love it. They'll love the poetic justice of it. The cruel irony of the son who thought he could take everything without consequence, only to be left with nothing. As the movers load up the last of the boxes, I feel Noah's presence behind me. He steps closer, watching the scene unfold, a small, almost imperceptible smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "You could have humiliated them worse," he says, his voice low, but there's an edge of admiration in it. "But this is worse. It's public, but polite." I turn to him, a faint smile crossing my own face. "This is more than enough," I reply, the calmness in my voice a sharp contrast to the storm of emotions swirling within me. They wanted everything. Now they have nothing. I glance back toward Jason and Brianna, standing in the yard, their pride shattered, their future uncertain. They've made their bed, and now they're lying in it. As the last of the movers drive away, the yard empties, and the finality of the moment settles over me like a heavy, suffocating blanket. I watch the rain begin to fall, soft at first, then harder, washing away the remnants of their arrogance, their lies. It's over. Finally. But as the storm rages on outside, I know that the real work is just beginning. Jason and Brianna's new apartment isn't much more than a box with a few pieces of furniture strewn around. It's small, modest, even by their standards, and the neighborhood is a far cry from the country club lifestyle they once flaunted. The beige walls of the living room are bare, save for a single painting that's barely more than a canvas in an ill-fitting frame. It's a picture of how far they've fallen, an uncomfortable reminder of everything they lost. From the outside, the building seems ordinary, unremarkable. A middle-class apartment complex in a part of town Jason would never have considered stepping into before. There's no glint of gold, no manicured lawns, no designer brands. Just simple, functional living. For the first time, they're living like the rest of us. Inside, I can almost hear the tension between them as they navigate this new reality. Brianna tries to put on a brave face, of course, but I can see the cracks. The luxury has been replaced by an almost desperate need to pretend that everything is still fine, but there's no escaping it. They're trapped, and it's their own doing. Evelyn, Brianna's mother, has been resolute in her refusal to help. Her coldness is sharper than I expected. "I don't fund failures," she said when Brianna called, desperate for an out. There was no sympathy, no sense of family obligation. It's a simple fact to Evelyn. If you don't succeed, you fail on your own. That's the kind of woman she is, and Brianna is starting to see it for what it is. No more soft landings, no more handouts. The illusion of grandeur has crumbled for them both. As I stand at my kitchen counter, a cup of coffee warming my hands, I realize that despite the satisfaction of seeing them brought down, a part of me still feels the weight of this loss. They were my family, I remind myself. But they chose this. I set the cup aside and pick up the check I've written for my grandson's tuition. It's a small gesture, a quiet kindness. It's something I don't need to do, but I will. Because he's innocent in all of this. The last time I saw him, he was smiling up at me, full of promise, unaware of the storm swirling around his parents. I won't let him suffer because of their mistakes. He deserves a future, one not tainted by their greed. I slip the check into an envelope with no return address, leaving it in the mailbox outside his school. There's no need for recognition or thanks. I don't need anything from him. I just want him to have a chance. A better chance than his parents ever gave him. Afterward, I drive to the house. Our house. The one that's now an empty shell. The lawn is freshly cut, and the driveway is clear. The moving trucks are long gone, the windows now bare, the curtains drawn. It looks peaceful, almost serene. It doesn't feel like it belongs to me anymore, though. Not now that the memories are just that. Memories. I step out of the car and walk slowly up the path, taking in the house's familiar structure. The stone steps, the ivy creeping along the walls, the soft hum of the neighborhood. It's still my home, but it feels so distant now. The door is locked, of course, but I stand on the porch, my fingers grazing the cool wood of the railing. This was where Jason took his first steps, where we celebrated his birthday every year. This was where we spent our evenings, dinners, family nights, quiet moments together. This was my sanctuary for so long. But now, I see it differently. I feel the weight of all those years, those sacrifices, the hopes I held for him, how I tried over and over to make it work. And how, despite everything, he just walked away from it all. I close my eyes for a moment, letting the memories flood in. His laughter as a child, his first school play, the way he'd hold his hand in mine when he was scared. Love should have been enough, I think. But it wasn't. I sit down on the porch, the swing creaking softly as I settle into the coolness of the air. My eyes are open now, looking out at the yard. The house is empty, but it feels full of ghosts. Jason and I, trapped in this cycle, repeating the same mistakes over and over, until there was nothing left but the wreckage of our past. But I don't cry. Not now. I've done enough crying over the years. This moment, this quiet reflection, is not about the tears I shed. It's about letting go. It's about accepting that he made his choices, and now I must live with mine. I sit there for a long while, the wind carrying the faint scent of rain on the horizon. I've come to terms with the past. It's time to move forward. The storm outside is just beginning, and I'm ready for it. The house behind me is empty, but I know it's time to leave it behind. It wasn't just the house that I had to let go of. It was the son I thought I knew. And now, it's time to step into a new chapter. The duplex is empty now. I walk through the halls, my footsteps echoing off the bare walls. Everything has been cleared out. Every piece of furniture, every memory. The rooms that once echoed with the sounds of Jason's life, his laughter, his arguments with Brianna, are now silent, stripped of everything that tied them to the past. It feels like a wound that's healing slowly, but it's healing all the same. I stand in the living room, looking out the window at the street below. The world moves on outside, but here, inside this house, the air is still, the past lingering in the corners like dust that refuses to settle. I've made my decision. I call Noah, the phone ringing only once before he picks up. "Maggie," he says, his voice warm with familiarity. "What's on your mind?" "I'm selling it," I say, my words solid and final, no room for doubt. "The duplex. I'm selling it, and I'm donating the proceeds." There's a brief silence on the other end, and I can almost hear him processing the weight of my words. "To who?" "To a women's housing charity," I reply. "In Frank's name. He always wanted to help women who needed a fresh start, and I think it's time to honor that." Noah doesn't hesitate. "That's a good cause, Maggie. You're doing the right thing." I smile to myself, staring out the window at the world moving past, unchanged by the turmoil of my life. This is my redemption, I think. Not revenge, not retribution, but something more profound. An act of giving, a final exhale after years of suffocating in a cage of guilt and betrayal. I list the property, and within days, the sale is completed. The check for the proceeds arrives a few weeks later, crisp and sterile, with an amount that feels too large to hold in my hands and too small to erase the years of damage done. But it's not about the money. It's about what comes next. I make the donation anonymously, the check made out in Frank's name, to a charity that helps women build new lives, women who, like me, have had to rebuild. Women who need a chance, a place to start over. The media picks up the story almost immediately. The headline reads, "Mother evicts entitled son, funds homeless families." It's everywhere. The local news, social media, blogs. The story is spun as a tale of redemption, of a mother who fought for respect and won, who didn't let her son's selfishness define her. Brianna tries to spin the narrative in her favor, of course. She posts a tearful video online, claiming she's been victimized by her mother-in-law's cruelty, that this is all unfounded. She tries to paint herself as the innocent party caught in the crossfire of an unjust eviction, but the internet sees through her act. The comments flood in. "Don't play the victim when you've been the villain." A woman who has nothing left to lose is the most dangerous. It's like watching her grasp at straws, knowing that her influence over the narrative is slipping through her fingers. The truth has a way of doing that, doesn't it? It's always louder than the lies. A week after the donation, I receive a letter. The envelope is familiar. Jason's handwriting, the same as it's always been. I open it, the paper feeling heavy in my hands. His apology is long, filled with remorse, with promises of change, of regret. He tells me how much he's learned, how much he wishes he could go back and undo everything. For a moment, I almost feel something stir inside me. Maybe it's a flicker of the mother I used to be, but I shake it off, the weight of the years pressing down on me like an anchor. His words are too little, too late. I sit down at my desk, the letter in front of me. I don't need to read it again. I know what it says. I know the words are empty, like the rest of him. I burn the letter, slowly, carefully, watching the paper curl and blacken in the flame. I hear the crackle, the smell of burning ink, and I whisper to myself, too late. The fire consumes it. The words are gone, reduced to ash. I let the ashes fall to the floor, watching them scatter. They're nothing now, just remnants of a past I can never change. I close my eyes for a moment, and the house is quiet, peaceful. The air feels lighter, even as the smoke from the fire drifts toward the ceiling, dissipating. The past is gone, and so is the weight of it. I've paid my dues, let go of the anger, and moved on. Now it's time to embrace what's next. The storm has passed. The world outside, too, is moving on. And so am I. The small lakeside home feels like a sanctuary, peaceful, quiet, the kind of place that invites reflection and growth. It sits tucked away at the edge of the water, a perfect contrast to the chaos I left behind. The house itself is modest, but it holds a charm that my old duplex never had. The soft clap of the waves against the shore, the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze, it's also soothing. Inside, I've kept it simple. There are no lavish decorations or excessive furniture. The space is open, airy, filled with natural light that spills through the large windows overlooking the water. Every room feels uncluttered, serene. There's room to breathe here, room to think, to heal. The front yard is still a blank canvas, but I've already started to make my mark. I crouch down, my fingers brushing the earth as I plant the first of the roses. Red ones. They're strong, resilient, just like the life I'm determined to rebuild. One by one, I place them in neat rows, their roots settling in the rich soil. Ready to grow. The roses are a symbol for me. A symbol of new beginnings, of the roots I've put down here. Roots that will hold me steady no matter what comes next. As I stand back to admire my work, the sun setting behind the trees, I realize that I'm not just planting flowers, I'm planting my future. Later that afternoon, Tanya visits. She's the one neighbor who stuck around through it all, the one who never judged me. I open the door to find her standing on the porch, a wide grin on her face. Her arms are full of baked goods, a peace offering of sorts, but mostly just her way of saying, "You made it." We sit on the small back porch, the sun casting a warm golden hue across the lake. There's a pitcher of iced tea between us, condensation running down the glass, beads of coolness that match the ease of the moment. Tanya pours us both a glass, her hands steady, like she's always known how to find peace even when the world around her was spinning. I take a sip, feeling the cool sweetness slide down my throat, and for the first time in a long while, I let myself truly relax. The weight of everything, the eviction, the betrayal, the loss, seems lighter here. Maybe it's the stillness of the water. Maybe it's the promise of something new. But I feel it. The quiet joy of having reclaimed my life. Cheers, Tanya says, raising her glass to me. I clink mine against hers, the soft sound ringing in the air like the chime of something that has been earned. To new beginnings, I say, my voice calm, almost surprised by how peaceful I sound. To peace, Tanya adds with a smile. I lean back in my chair, feeling the soft breeze on my face. It's funny, I think. How much of life is about choices? I didn't raise a monster, I remind myself, but I allowed one. Tanya looks over at me, her eyes soft with understanding. And you ended him gracefully. I let out a small laugh, the sound light but genuine. I did, didn't I? The quiet moment between us stretches on, the only sound the hum of insects in the air and the occasional splash of a fish jumping in the lake. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe. This life, this peaceful, unassuming life, is mine, and no one can take it from me. After a while, Tanya leaves, promising to come back soon. I wave her off from the porch, watching her disappear down the winding road. The evening is settling in, and I take one last look at the yard, at the house, at the lake. I sit for a moment on the porch, the air now cooler, the stars beginning to poke through the deepening sky. Everything is quiet. Everything is right. I glance at the TV through the window, the news playing softly in the background. It's an old habit I haven't shaken, keeping an eye on the world even if it doesn't affect me anymore. The headline scrolls across the screen. Jason Dalton moves out of state. Sources say he's left behind his past. I don't need to hear the details. It doesn't matter anymore. The past is just that. The past. I turn off the TV, the glow of the screen fading, and step outside. The roses I planted earlier catch the last light of the day, their petals catching the glow of the sun as it sinks below the horizon. And I know, truly know, that this is my new beginning. The storm has passed. The future is mine. The morning sun filters softly through the trees, casting dappled shadows across the small lakeside home. It's Mother's Day, but it's unlike any I've experienced before. The world outside feels different now, calmer, gentler. There's no chaos, no heavy expectations, just a simple peace that I've earned after so much turmoil. I spend the morning volunteering at the charity I funded with the proceeds from the duplex sale. The building smells faintly of fresh paint and new beginnings, filled with the sound of children playing, laughter echoing down the hallways. I watch as the volunteers prepare meals for women who've found a second chance in these walls. It's not a flashy cause, not something that will make headlines like the drama surrounding my family, but it's real. It's meaningful. A small group of children runs by, carrying flowers in their hands, yellow daffodils, bright and cheerful. One of the girls tugs on my sleeve, holding one out to me. "Happy Mother's Day," she says, with a bright smile, her voice ringing with innocence. I smile, accepting the flower, my fingers brushing against hers. "Thank you, sweetheart," I say, my voice softer than I expect. Her gesture, so pure and sincere, fills a place in my heart I didn't know I was missing. For a moment, I feel as though I'm truly part of something greater, something untainted by the selfishness and betrayal that defined my past. As the day passes, strangers approach me with similar wishes. "Happy Mother's Day, ma'am," they say with warm smiles, their voices full of kindness. And this time I can smile back with a depth of sincerity that I never thought possible. Later, as I return home, Noah pulls into the driveway. He's wearing that same quiet, knowing smile. I stand at the door as he approaches, his steps light, his posture easy. "No fancy gifts today?" he asks, a gentle tease in his tone, though there's an understanding behind his words. I smile, a little too knowingly. "Just peace," I reply, holding out a mug of coffee. "It's worth more than 30 grand. Noah takes the coffee with a grateful nod, his eyes lingering on mine for a moment longer than necessary. He knows. We both know. This peace, this quiet satisfaction, it's the real gift I've earned. I've traded the noise of anger and resentment for this calm, for something I can live with. We sit on the porch together, the sky now a muted gray, clouds gathering overhead. The rain begins to fall softly, a delicate drizzle that coats the world in a layer of silence. The sound of it, soft and forgiving, feels like the universe exhaling with me, as if everything is finally as it should be. The storm of my past is over, And this rain is just a cleansing, a final wash. Noah sips his coffee, the steam curling up into the air, and then he turns to me with a smile that is pure understanding. "You did what needed to be done," he says quietly, his voice low. "And now, it's your time to move on." I look out at the rain, the soft patter against the porch creating a rhythm that matches my heartbeat. The roses in the garden are still standing strong, despite the damp, their petals glowing faintly in the gray light. They're resilient, just like me. I let the silence stretch for a while, the two of us sitting there, the rain falling softly around us. It's a rare moment of contentment, the kind that's earned, not given. The kind of peace that can only come from letting go of the things that once held you back. Finally, as I take a deep breath and stand, I feel the weight of it all lift completely. The years of anger, the heartbreak, the betrayal, they're all gone now. I've learned that the only thing I ever needed was to reclaim my own peace. And when I look at Noah one last time, the final thought solidifies in my mind, clear and true. They bought sparkle for show. I bought silence that shines longer. The rain drizzles on, washing away the remnants of everything I used to carry. And for the first time, I know I'm free.